Today, we're going to talk about one of the most chaotic episodes of a podcast I've ever seen. And that's Tigerbelly episode 193, hosted by Bobby Lee and Khalyla, and their special guest, Andy Dick. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Catching You Up with...
Nadav,
And before we get started, remember to subscribe, comment on this video, and rate it. It really helps the algorithm. This episode is executive produced by Average Ed. If you would like to become a producer of the show, click the Patreon link in the description below. So let me say this, that sure, today there's quite huge podcast studios that are huge warehouse facilities or what have you, but back in the day, spaces were much smaller. For the longest time, some people recorded out of their homes. Eventually they'd get offices, eventually they'd get buildings. For the longest time, Tigerbelly recorded out of a small apartment in Los Feliz, where Bobby and Khalyla lived, along with all of their animals, and they devoted a room to being their podcast studio. Naturally, when you book a guest, you make it pretty clear that they are the only ones that are invited, and some of them listen to it, and some of them just... Sometimes they'll bring a manager, sometimes they'll bring a girlfriend or a boyfriend, but very rarely does it happen where someone shows up and says, hey, this is so-and-so, they're my comedy partner, I'd like for them to be on the show with me. And if I'm producing this podcast, all I could think of is, we're not doing this. How do we get this person out of here? This isn't the show we booked. But if the podcast hosts are okay with it, then you kind of also have to be okay with it. Cameras start rolling, we get introduced to Andy Dick, and immediately Bobby throws shade at him bringing someone with him.
So
no, but I'm going to introduce you.
You're trying to make me cry.
Andy Dick. Everybody clap for him, right?
I love you.
Usually when I invite a guest, they don't bring boy toy. You know what I mean?
No, he's my comedy partner.
What does that mean?
And at that point, you're like, I don't know who this is. This literally could be anyone. So that's all the first 4 or 5 minutes of the show. Then at around 6 or 7 minutes, Bobby brings up Andy's hand.
Then I come out into the living room and you're like, I broke my hand.
Oh, yeah.
It is really swollen.
What the fuck happened?
It's bad.
It is. Show up your.
Oh my
hand.
god. Oh my god.
scrawny.
Oh, it is
Oh,
real. Yeah.
it's broken.
Holy shit, something really wrong happened here.
I got into a fight with my assistant. And
Okay.
Ex-assistant.
Okay.
You want to see a crazy fracture? Paris over here starts showing x-rays.
I don't want to see the fucking X-ray.
There it
I'll
is.
see the X-ray. Give me the X-ray.
Oh, dear God.
Oh dear God, that's beautiful.
That is a break.
And they're like, well, why aren't you in a cast? Why didn't you?
they won't give me anything.
Okay,
Did
so-
you hear me? They said you can have 800 milligrams of Midol. That's like for cramps.
And Andy's just saying like,
I didn't go to the hospital. I mean, what are they gonna?
I mean, there's definitely procedures for broken wrists or hands that's definitely fixable at a hospital. Around 11 minutes in, Andy goes,
And my friend is here.
What?
Can
You
we
have
take
another
a break?
friend? Why?
Because I have to pee.
All right, but I don't.
And my
Here's the
friend
thing.
wants to meet you. Come on.
I know, but how we can,
What if it's a hot girl
we can't have too many people up
named
in the
Eric?
We, Andy,
I
Andy,
know.
we can't have a million people
We
up
won't.
here. You know, I know.
what the fuck are you talking about? Your friend is here. Like, we're in the middle of a recording. This is like, what are you talking about?
I don't know who this guy is.
He's my friend.
I don't-
He
it's
started Bird, the scooters. He really did.
Like around.
He
LA.
did. He's like a millionaire.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
So obviously, I just need, because I love you, obviously you're not sober.
I smoked some pot.
I know. So that's fine.
What the fuck is going on? Literally, cameras are rolling, and the guest of the podcast is inviting other people and is leaving the show to go let them up. And they're now talking to Paris, and they're like, hey, you guys invited people? Like, why are you guys inviting people?
Just a few people.
How many people is it?
4, 5.
Are you kidding me?
No.
And they're like, well, we thought this was like a studio location, not like your apartment or your house or something. Well, it's not, and it is.
I know, but we have animals, you know what I mean? We have
Let me
6
just,
animals.
I'm going to bring my cats into the other room then.
And you got to understand, when you're recording a podcast, especially back then, it's skeleton crews. Someone running cameras, someone checking audio, but there isn't someone that's just like, oh, there's guests of the guest over here. Well, let me just go ahead and chaperone them. This is now kind of turning into a situation that no one is comfortable with. But Bobby, being the showman that he is, understands that Andy Dick is a loose cannon, and loose cannons do good show.
All right. This is the best. Keep everything on. Everything's on.
It's all.
At one point, Bobby is like, hey, wait, is Andy's assistant here? The one that broke his hand?
There they
New
are.
York
There's-
City.
Which one's this one? What's his name?
Are these the friends?
Yeah, that's these. Oh, is that the?
Is the assistant here?
Yeah. His assistant.
Oh my God, let's get the assistant in
Were the
here.
assistants here?
I want to see this. Oh, this is good
The-
TV.
okay, yeah.
Stay
Wait,
tuned.
yeah. Wait, it's oh my God. Nothing's gonna be thrown in the house, though, right?
No, they'll probably cry and hug each other.
You literally see so many different waves of panic come over so many different people where you're like, what the fuck am I watching? But when Andy comes back from letting the people in, he did apparently go to the bathroom. And because his wrist is fucked up, he goes up to this Paris guy and he's like, hey, fucking tie my fucking shit for me. And he just ties Andy's drawstrings for him. Man, these guys are really close comedy partners. And that first 20 minutes is probably the most consistently chaotic part of this entire episode. And then I'd say it's probably a pretty solid, like, 20 to 40 minutes of just solid show. It's just Bobby talking shop with Andy, talking about acting gigs, talking about his family. It's not nearly as chaotic as the first 20 minutes, but it's still very entertaining. And then we hear a little bit more from Andy's comedy partner. Apparently Paris's girlfriend was just kind of like in the room. They wanted her to come in and talk about what it's like to live with Andy. So she just comes in, sits on Paris's lap, and now we're back into like, what the fuck am I watching? This is so fucking weird, dude. This is so fucking weird. And then we get a little bit more into Paris, and he's talking about, like, it's so weird. It seems like he has this hang up in his head.
You can go to parisdylan.com.
Oh my God.
Ooh, that's you?
Paris like the city, Dylan
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Bob Dylan. But don't Google me because there's this. She's been a thorn in my side for years because she has the same name, but she's this Playboy star that used to.
Followers.
You know her?
Well,
Heard of-
when I heard your name, I was like, oh, all right, a Playmate's coming on.
What? She's got 6 million followers.
I talk.
Change your fucking name.
No, you don't understand.
Listen.
Her name's Roxanne Dover.
Okay, don't get emotional, but
It just sucks because that was my name first. And I think people look me up and they see a blonde with big tits, and it really sucks.
how many followers do you have?
I have
Not as many as her.
15,000.
You have
Not as many.
15,000 followers.
She has
My
6.
brother has more followers than you.
Are you kicking a old
I'm
horse?
not holding. I'm just saying Paris is bigger. If there was a Bobby Lee out there that was a model, I'd be Jake Kuwasawa.
Change your name, dude. Fucking change. You don't like that? Change your name. She's not going to change her name. And even if she does, guess what? There's still going to be pictures of her when they look up your name. And it turns out his real name isn't even Paris Dillon. That's not even his real name.
You have to do that.
Dylan.
What's your real last name then?
Frassard. It's very French and hard to spell.
There are some problems that are very hard to solve. This is not one of them. And then he starts talking about this lady being married to Don McLean.
Oh my
Now
God.
she's married to Don McLean, American Pie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That
change
really-
your fucking name.
Yeah, you might need
That song was important to my
Change
family.
your fucking name.
Bye bye, Miss American.
Don't fucking
Pie.
sing
Sing us
that
out, sing us
song.
out.
And you could tell very quickly that there's like an anger that starts going in Paris Dillon's eyes.
Must share it to
It's gonna
the
fucking
levee.
make me go nuts.
The levee was
Don't
dry.
fucking do this, dude.
And good old boys
Boys
drinking whiskey and rye.
Asshole.
Singing this.
Shut the fuck up!
Whoa, dude.
Dude.
Hey, kid, relax. Are you about to snap?
My mom sang that to me like when I went to bed, and now it plays in my head. It's like a nightmare.
Change your name.
What the fuck am I looking at? This is complete insanity. But it is one of the most chaotic episodes of Tigerbelly I've ever seen. One of the most chaotic episodes of anything I've ever seen. If you produce podcasts, you see everything that's going wrong. For the longest time, this was my textbook, everything that could go wrong in a podcast. And granted, as you're, longer and longer in the industry, that expands and you're like, oh, a lot more could go wrong than I thought. But even though I just kind of gave you a beat for beat of everything that episode was, go back and watch it. It's all fucking insane. And I actually have a pretty special treat for you guys, because as much as I could guess on what was going on throughout the episode, I'm friends with George Kimmel, who heads Seven Eckies, which produces a lot of shows that you like, including Tigerbelly and Bad Friends and a couple others. So I thought I'd give him a call and see how much of a shit show it actually was.
Hello.
Hey, George, how you doing, man? I want to say I appreciate you hopping on the line with me and talking about maybe one of my favorite episodes of Tigerbelly ever.
I've got to just stop right there and ask you why. And then,
It's just a masterpiece of chaotic energy coming together where none of it was planned, none of it should have happened that way, but it was all completely entertaining.
yeah, you told me about this, so I started rewatching it, and it was much more enjoyable to rewatch than it was to be there.
Why?
I was just...
Tell me about it.
I was nervous the whole time. Well, we hadn't wanted Andy on for like a while because Bobby's sober, of course,
Right.
and but we'd heard Andy was sober, so we're like, now is a good window to get him on. First of all, it's like the first time we had somebody come on with a guest.
Did you know that guest was coming?
Andy had told us he was coming.
All right.
So that he was bringing somebody, and we at least knew the one person.
Tell me about what you're thinking about as a producer, because I'd say the first like 20 minutes was pretty hectic. We're meeting Paris. He's talking about his like broken wrist that he hasn't taken care of. They're announcing that they've invited people to the house. Tell me what's going on through your head step by step.
Just everything getting worse. I think I'd been looking forward to this for so much, and this like having this other kid on was already like too much for me.
Right.
Then his girlfriend shows up. Andy Dick has a broken arm, and he seems to be on something. I mean, it still impressed me. He's so just fucking funny. And then just they show up. Then he says he invited people. There's 3 cats which love to escape, so we're already scared about that. And it's Bobby's apartment. It's a small apartment. And I remember, Andy kept on like every 20 minutes it seemed like, or even less, like had to leave to use the bathroom. So that makes me think more cocaine on that, and he left more often, I think, after 5 people show up. They look like the freaking Russian mafia. One of them looks, 2 of them are like, oh, we just heard we were going to Bobby Lee's house. We're big fans.
Oh, great. So there's now there's now fans of Bobby in Bobby's house.
Yeah, just like,
what a nightmare.
It seemed they were treating it like an after party. There's a door to like the living room, and Khalyla just said, leave it open. Keep an eye on them. And I was like, how do I keep an eye on 5 people in the living room while also keeping all these cameras running, making sure everything's working?
Oh my God.
And then it's Andy's like kept on having to go to the bathroom with these guys.
Andy keeps going to the bathroom with them?
Yeah, I forget how much we cut around, like if we just cut and like we kept it going, or sometimes we maybe, if Paris was in the room, we might have kept it going when Andy left.
So you guys cut out quite a bit of him and his bathroom breaks.
We might have. If there was nothing happening. I think if it was interesting, if we were holding it out, I think possibly if we cut anything, it was just us staring at each other, wondering what the fuck was happening.
That's my favorite part I want to say about Tigerbelly, since you guys have all the different angles like up on the screen at once. Anytime something strange happens, there's at least 3 different faces. You can either look at Bobby, Khalyla, or Gilbert and be like, oh, they all think this is a completely lunatic situation that they're in. So there's 4 or 5 guys up there. Was it confirmed that one of them was actually the guy that started Bird's scooter?
Nothing was confirmed. I think, it felt like an after party where everybody was possibly lying about their whole past. There may have been some normal people. It's like when you have a party at your house, all your polite friends leave, and your annoying friends have invited other people, and they're still there. And this is our place of work, so we wouldn't. We were.
And I imagine because it's Bobby, then he wakes up late, that this was already kind of like in the evening-ish.
This is back when we were recording, I think, at 9 p.m. on Mondays.
You guys recorded at 9 p.m. on Mondays?
Yep. And that's back when I had a full-time job, too, I think.
Jesus
I forget how early this was.
Christ. That's fucking insane. Oh, okay. Hold on. I need to ask you about my favorite part of the podcast. When Andy Dick starts singing American Pie,
Yeah.
and Paris, you see like some sort of rage start taking over, and he's like, what the fuck? We got fucking stop doing it. Like, what was going through your head as you saw a genuine fucking freak out from a guest that you did not book?
Actually, I don't want to disappoint you, but I think that was part of their duo act.
Wait, what?
This Paris kid, I don't want to say anything nice about him because I think he's like kind of like a hanger-on enabler of Andy Dick. But
Okay.
I think he was actually a good actor.
No shit.
But my theory is that was part of their stand-up acts, their duo act.
Holy shit. I feel like you just Kaiser Sosa'd me, man. Like I totally thought that was like, oh yeah, look at this super unstable actor that's super. No, man, he was just fucking, he was living the part. I remember seeing that episode, and then we were doing Dr. Drew After Dark, and Drew was like, hey, let's get Andy Dick on here. And like, I had just seen that Tigerbelly episode, and I was like, I don't know, Drew. I think he's my, and maybe I'm getting my timelines mixed up, but I'm pretty sure I cited that episode as like, I don't know if it's a great idea to have, Andy in here. Like, it's a real risk management liability.
Yeah.
And then Drew was just like, oh, don't worry. He doesn't fuck around with me. Like, he'll show up sober and he will not bring people. Like, you tell him to not bring people. You tell him to not do drugs. If I tell him that, he'll do that. I'm like, okay. And he showed up sober as a bird, didn't go to the bathroom constantly.
What?
And fucking brought it. No, it's wild. Fucking Dr. Drew is the Andy Dick whisperer. Thank you so much for letting me call you and giving some insight on one of my favorite episodes and podcasts. And George Kimmel, where can people find you if they want to follow you online?
Let's go to Instagram at George_Kimmel or check out 78keys.net. That's the number 7, EQUIS.net for whatever's happened, the latest things going on with my company.
Fuck yeah. Everyone go check out George on Instagram. Go check out his 7ekis.net. Thanks again. Good luck at the dentist, and I'll talk to you in a bit.
Thank you. Sounds good.
All right, later, man. And there you have it. Even I was a little off on a couple things. But that's what's so cool about talking to the guy that actually made the sausage. George is just such a great person, and I wish nothing but the best for him. And it's always been fun chatting with him just about industry stuff whenever crazy shit like this comes up. I am aware that there are reflections of the ring light in my lenses. I will address that as time goes on. And also there is a ring reflection, but I am going to keep that because I do think that kind of makes me look a little bit like Jesus. And with that, I would like to once again remind you to subscribe, comment on this video, rate it. It all helps with the algorithm. And I would also like to thank all of my producers who you're seeing on screen. Without their help, it would be much, much harder to pull all this off. And if you would like to become a producer of this show, you can click the Patreon link in the description and figure out what tier you would like to participate at. And with that, I would like to say thank you for watching. I will see you next week, and good tidings, y'all.
This is a totally unconfirmed news.